And welcome back to the Hot where we are talking BTCC Snetterton for rounds 7, 8, 9. And as you can probably see in the thumbnail, it was a great showing for two wonderful people. We got Jake Hill winning 2 races. It seems to be the norm at the moment. Tom Ingram, Donington, first 2 races. Colin Turkington, Brands Hatch, first 2 races. And now we have Jake Hill on those first 2 races in Snetterton. Not doing too bad as well. And let's not forget Rob Huff. What an absolutely amazing showing he had. I think qualifying, let's say really far back for the final race, being brave, putting on slicks. Jake Hill, I think, had no option in that last race but to put on those hards. It could have been 3 for 3, but then not the hard tyres, but he had hard tyres, so he decided to put on the wets in the end, because race 3 was, let's just say, very wet and dry, and in the end the wets kind of gave up, but it allowed Rob Huff to win. And Rob Huff wasn't the leading slick guy. He had to pass quite a few people, and taking a massive lawnmower excursion at some point as well. And what an absolutely epic weekend at Snetterton. Mixed conditions, that is how you go racing, with a fairly lackluster Monaco in Formula 1. The BTCC showed that, yes, you can have passing, you can have on-track action. It was brilliant. So, let's get into our BTCC winners and losers, shall we? This is the Snetterton track, which I'm just about to shut down. There we go. Lovely view of Snetterton as we talk about. Let's, first of all, as you know, alphabetically, let's talk about Adam Morgan. He did not have a very good, he finished, what, 7th? 7th in race 1, wasn't it? It was 7th in race 1, and Adam Morgan ended up, he qualified, to be fair, he did qualify really well. He had a bit of a mare, I think, for race 2, finishing as low as 18th, and in race 3, he ended up, where did he finish? I'm just looking. He ended up finishing. I'm just feel sorry for Chris Smiley there. He finished last, didn't he? Race 3, Rob Huff obviously won, which we'll most certainly get into. But Adam Morgan finished 11th. So a really lackluster weekend. He seems to be qualifying fairly okay, fairly solidly in that Team BMW car. But when it comes to everything else, he's just needs to improve, I think. It needs to be the report for Adam Morgan. Aidan Moffat as well. He was on the front row for race 3. What happened, Aidan? He did so good in Donington in that kind of like mixed condition weekend. But but for race 3, he did finish 2nd, which was good. I felt like he needed a good one. 8th for race 2, and he finished. Where did he finish for race 1? I'm just checking now. He ended up finishing, he went up, that was an issue with him. He banged wheels, didn't he? I don't think it was necessarily his fault, but 21st for race 1. So, yeah, probably should do better. So next up, we've got Andrew Watson, who I think had maybe the chance to do a lot better than he really did. I was kind of like gunning for him. So he finished 5th in race 1, which I think was really solid. 6th for race 2. Talk about Mr. Consistency. And he ended up finishing the final race. Where did he finish? I'm just looking now. Because I normally have my thing all spaced up because today we had Monaco, and then a very much delayed Indy 500. I'm a tiny bit more disorganised, so you'll have to bear with me. I do apologise, and he finished 16th. Massively disappointing for race 3. Once again, solid first 2 races. So I don't think you could really have a go at him too much for that. If I'm honest. So Aaron Taylor Smith. Well, Mr. Aaron Taylor Smith, he once again 12th for race 1. Captain average, 12th for race 2. Once again, as consistent as Mr. Watson. But I don't think, no, he definitely wasn't 12th for race 3, was he? He ended up finishing race 3, 15th. So, yeah, once again, captain of the midfield, I think, was Aaron Taylor Smith. But here we go. This is our first major interesting one. Ash Sutton. Yeah, he finished, well, we'll get into race 2 in a bit. But he finished once again on the podium, making it 7 for 7 for race 1. And I'm thinking race 2, yeah, he went in the pits, didn't he? He's one of the few that go in the pits for slicks. And he ended up crashing. And that's it. Really, un-Sutton-like, if I'm honest. Kind of like, yeah, I'm disappointed in Ash Sutton, but it makes the championship standings, which we'll get into in a bit, slightly more interesting, if I'm honest. But yeah, so Ash Sutton, a disappointing weekend, but as disappointing as it was for Ash Sutton, this man here for Team BMW, Bobby Thompson, coming back. He gave a really lovely interview about where he's talking about his parents. You know, some people at touring cars have a lot of money, that's why they can race. He didn't, and he works so hard to get, I think it's his sponsor in his wonderful purple car, which he did, and he finished, you know, on his comeback second, which I think is the highest he's ever finished in race 1. In race 2, he where did he finish in race 2? Bobby Thompson finished 7th in race 2, which was, you know, not particularly great. And finally, in race 3, I think he had to put on, I'm not sure, did he put on the hards? But he finished 8th. Having said that, 1 podium. I think, for me, one of the 3 men of the weekend by far. So Chris Smiley, I already mentioned that he was not smiling. He was not smiling at race 3, where he ended up crashing out. But race 1, Rob, Mr. Smiley, 18th. So I know there's going to be puns aplenty now, isn't there? Because I'm going to suggest that Rob Smiley did not have too much to smile about, finishing only 13th. Unlucky for some for Restart Racing. Yeah, not great. But I think another man that doesn't have much to smile about, kind of like Ash Sutton, it was a very average day for your championship favourites. He didn't really feature much at all. I mean, he had a better qualifying than Tom Ingram, outshone by Ash Sutton. But he finished 8th, Colin Turkington did. Okay, decent-ish, top 10 for the first race. And he ended up finishing 15th for the second race and 7th for the third race. So, where some people may have taken that, if you're Colin Turkington in Team BMW, not good enough, really, is it? No, not at all. So, Dan Camish, my dark horse for the championship, well, he finished 4th in race 1. And he finished 2nd in race 2. But for race 3, he wasn't quite as high. He finished all the way down in 13th. But I think a fairly solid weekend for Dan Camish. One where I think he will actually be quite happy, to be fair. I mean, yeah, I think with those finishes, he was very comparative when it comes to scoring with Ash Sutton. So not down. So from one down to another down, we have same team, Mr. Rowbottom. So Dan Rowbottom finished kind of like mid-grid 10th in the first race, and he ended up finishing 17th in the second race, and in the half wet, half dry race, he where did he finish? He went out, didn't he? So once again, a disappointing weekend for Dan Rowbottom. I can't help but feel that so far this year it's been fairly average for him, and I don't think we've seen the best of Dan Rowbottom. And Darryl DeLeon, at the beginning of the season, I thought this guy, he's really, really young. He's going to do really well. He made a couple of mistakes when he finished 17th on the first race. For the second race, he was. Where did he finish in the second race? I'm just bear with me. I'm just looking. Unfortunately, I've got to look down the order. Darren 10th, which I think is one of his better finishing places in the touring car, and 12th. So I can't help but feel that I want to see more from this guy. He can do better. But this guy, I don't think you could have asked anything more of Jake Hill. It's kind of like he got his championship up, restarted, so to speak. Yes, he only finished 9th in the third race because he chose, I think quite rightly, didn't want to wear the hard tyres because that might even be worse on a very damp track. So he ended up doing the wets, taking a gamble. Looked good up until that 7 or 8, and then he kind of got destroyed, didn't he, by everyone else. But he won the first 2 races. Epic. Race 1 and a really, really solid win in race 2 as well. So massive congratulations. I think the man of the weekend was Jake Hill. Not so much for this man here, Josh Cook. He finished 3rd in the second race. Really, really solid there. He took the hard tyres, didn't he, for the first race. And he really got punished, didn't he? Because he finished all the way back in 14th, but then he came back and finished, I think, 3rd in the final race. So I take it back. I think in hindsight, I probably would have picked the hard tyres too for the first race. Bear in mind, for the first race, he didn't do very well at all. But then the second race, it was 3rd, and we got 2 podium finishes. So apologies, I got that completely wrong, Josh. You did very good. Next up, we have got Mikey Double, who again one of the very average 10th in that 3rd race. In the first race, where did he finish? 13th. Mr. Consistency, and Mikey Double did. Where did he finish in the 2nd race? I'm really having trouble finding him. Does he even exist? I'm looking. Yeah, 4th. So which I think is that his best finish of the year so far for Mikey. So disappointing race 1 and race 2. It's kind of like a disappointing sandwich, but with a really, really good filling for race 2. So disappointing race 1 and race 2, but not too bad. But this guy here, I feel really sorry for Nick Halstead. He ended up, I think, finishing 18th or 19th. 20th for race 1, and then he was basically didn't compete for race 2 and 3 because I think he had a bout of food poisoning, or there's something wrong with his stomach. So fair play to him. It also, I think, takes a brave man to say no, this is not for me. And hopefully he comes back even better for rounds 10, 11 and 12. So get better soon, Nick, please. That would be great. And what a weekend this guy had as well. Finally, he was my tip. He was my tip for the weekend, and it didn't disappoint. I most certainly was cheering him on. 9th for the first race, and I was like, okay, it's not looking amazingly good. And then the second race, 14th. But there we go. He pulled it all out. He waited the best to last, I guess, for Rob to get his first win. I think 20 years, isn't it, in between wins in the BTCC, I think. That's got to be a record, hasn't it? But congratulations to Rob Huff. Absolutely amazing. Well done. Our second man of the race, number 2. Jacob was number 1. This guy was number 2. And I want to say Bobby Thompson, easily number 3. So we've got Roden Pearson, the man that won his first race at the last race at Brands Hatch. He was really, really up for it, and he finished 18th for the third race. But when we're looking at race 1 and 2, it was 11th for that first race, and it was, out again for the 9th. So it really was like 0 to 0. Not completely his fault, but yeah, he's gonna be disappointed, isn't he? He's gonna be disappointed. And I think this guy here, is gonna be disappointed as well. Sam Osborne, he had a chance. I think he had a chance in the third race, if I remember, of a fairly okay result, finishing 16th in race 1, 9th in race 2, and he was looking fairly steady, wasn't he, for race 3? But then I remember he ended up going off and making a bit of a mess and finishing just a lowly 14th. So I think disappointing for Sam Osborne. So Scott Sumpton again. I keep saying, I've really got to stop that. So Scott Sumpton, 19th for race 1, 11th, which was fairly solid, I think, for race 2. Really good result there. And again, back to normal, it seems, for him. 17th for race 3. But really, really good race 2 result. More of the same is what we need here. And Mr. Chilton, BTCC veteran, how do you do? Well, 15th was how he did for the first race. Having said that, he finished 5th for the second race. And for the final race, he finished 6th as well. So I think a fairly solid weekend, if not spectacular, for Tom Chilton. But last but not least, the Tingram, he's going to be, I think, really disappointed with this weekend. He qualified, I think he was the worst qualifier of the championship contenders. He finished 6th, which wasn't too bad for the first race. For the second race, where did he finish? Their home rate, when it was dry, it looked really good. It kind of like came alive, didn't it? A lowly 16th for that second race. And he kind of made up for it a bit with 4th in that final race. But I can't help but feel probably should have done better, I think, for the weekend. I think the biggest disappointment, though, for me, looking at it now, we've gone through all the drivers, probably Colin Turkington. Well, on a track that I think BMW normally do quite well. So massively disappointed there. Massively disappointing. So Where then does that lead the? Let's just have a look at the BTCC. Where does that lead the standings for the Drivers' Championship? Then let's have a look, shall we? Hopefully, I might even be able to share the screen with you. There we go. Okay, ignore the Indy 500 title. That I've just finished the Indy 500 review as well. So I'll just stop that. But yeah, we go. These are all the drivers. Hopefully, if I scroll down enough, yeah, you should be able to see the Drivers' Championship. So, I mean, we've got 121 for Ash Sutton, 111. So Colin Turkington did gain a bit of time. Did gain a bit for Turkington, 110 for Tom Ingram. But the big winner coming out of the Snetterton weekend is going to be none other than Jake Hill. And here's the full lineup here. Josh Cook on 84, Dan Camish, come on, you can do better, on 6th, Rob Huff on 9th. I expect Dan Camish and Rob Huff to accelerate up the order, I think, once we get towards the end of the season, to the point where I think hopefully Rob Huff stays in the BTCC for next year. I think if he gets a good enough result, he most certainly will. Anyway, that has been our winners and losers of the Snetterton weekend, round 7, 8 and 9. If you made it to the end, give us a like. That would be absolutely amazing. Give us a subscribe if you can. Give us a comment. We comment below all the time. We'll probably have another touring car BTCC video out sometime this week, talking about the fallout and all of the news coming out of Snetterton. No doubt we'll speak to you soon. Thank you so much. If you made it to the end, you're a hero. See you later.